What's up? A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. Mandatory minicamp has one more day, but we're reacting to day 2 yesterday at Titans mandatory minicamp. And the story of focus this morning is the Calvin Ridley connection is hitting an extra gear, a gear that maybe was not hit at all last year. And we're talking about this in June, Easton. We're going to have a good conversation. I was at practice yesterday, so I got to lay my eyes on Cam Ward and the other rookies that I hadn't seen in over a month. And I saw the veterans for the first time personally this off season. So I'm going to have this conversation about how much better can Calvin Ridley be with Cam quarterback because of Cam Ward at quarterback. And I think this is really going to open some eyes when we talk about just how productive Calvin Ridley was at times last year, and he wasn't at times last year, yet he was a 1,000-yard receiver. So we'll talk about it today. Easton got thrown under the bus and then backed up and run over and then forwarded over again. And then we'll get to sports trivia. But my observations from minicamp practice yesterday. So Easton, well, I hope you're feeling okay. You're muted.
I'm fine. I just, I woke up this morning wondering, hello?
Dang it. It's doing this.
We got a problem this morning?
Yeah, you're doing the old cartoon thing where you gotta exit and come back in. Terrible start for Easton Freeze today. But hey, we're a minute and a half into the show, and he's already having problems because he got drug all over the internet last night. So let's see if Easton's back in.
Hello?
There we go. Now we're good. Now we're all lined up. Something with you and getting delayed this week. We were talking on the phone earlier.
I know.
Conversation.
Yeah.
All right. But Easton, now that we're back ready to go, let's officially start the show. Get it going.
Yeah. Good morning, Austin. Good morning, everybody in the chat. I don't know. I need to find today at Titans Twitter admin because I have to beat them up over what they did to me yesterday. Outrageous, uncalled for. They brought a gun to a knife fight, and I didn't stand a chance. So that was brutal. But and shout out to my former friend Stoney Keeley for being the person that put that picture on the internet in the first place. Him that he would live to regret it, and he did, or maybe he lived to be glad that he did it. I don't know. I'm sure.
He won. Funny. You lost. He's fine.
I told him it would ruin our friendship eventually. And he said, no, nobody follows me. And then the Titans admin found it. And so there you go. That's how. Be careful what you put on the internet. We've got a great show for you today, though. Beyond the stupid pictures of me at camp, we're talking about Calvin Ridley and Cam Ward, a bounce back day for the defense yesterday, Austin's observations, a bunch of good stuff to get into and more. But for you who haven't liked the show, so you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, hit that like button for us. It's the easiest way that you can be a friend of the program this morning. Copy that link, send it to a buddy, send it to a family member, send it to somebody who you think would be interested in some Titans talk this, and then jump into the comments like Curtis and Save City Titan, Rice School, Steven, Rashid, whose profile picture is me now. Appreciate that, Rashid, I guess. I don't know. Caps, Vanessa, Coach Wills, Curtis. Good morning to all of you looking at this morning's conversation.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome to the A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze, our Titans reporter for A to Z Sports.com. We're Nashville's on-demand sports.network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Leave us that 5-star Google review. That goes a long way for us and our company. Helps us out quite a bit. But got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen, and they help out all of you. Like Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And also our friends at Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. They are online at bartondrury.com. Easton, to follow something up yesterday, I said, I told everybody that I have Holiday World tickets, and I couldn't find them.
Mm-hmm.
I found them.
Well, I'm glad.
I do have them. They're right here. So I got Holiday World tickets to give away.
I would officially have declared them missing if you still had not found them. So I'm glad we have them.
Yes. So I do have the tickets. So it's not lost. They were not stolen by the cleaning service, but they're here, and I have them.
So how are we going to give them away? How's that going to work?
That's something that I have to contemplate today or tomorrow.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. That's on me.
Right.
Also, saying that we're having some issues that our screens keep going black with a loading circle. Both of them, I have noticed that as well on my phone. I don't know what's going on. To me, that must be
if it's both of us, it's got to be a StreamYard thing.
It's a StreamYard, not an Austin and Easton issue because it's both of us happening. I don't know what's going on, but that's annoying as hell.
Is it still listenable? Can they hear us?
I mean, yeah, that's something I don't know. Can you guys both hear us when our screens flash? Because if you can, then okay, you can hear fine. So that's good.
Well,
you can hear fine. I don't
know
why
for that. Maybe this is more of a listening experience this morning, which is all right.
Yeah, which I think when I show graphics and video, it won't happen. So let's make fun of Easton a little bit before we officially get going. Easton's on the thumbnail. Easton, can you find yourself? Where's Waldo? Go.
He's down there by the A to Z logo, just looking weird. And really, I need to work on my. I mean, we talked about this. What was it, last week, the week before? People thinking that I hate talking with you on the morning show because I have like a RBF in the morning. And I'm not a morning person. I look like I don't want to be here, even though I do want to be. Apparently, this also applies to the face that I make at the end of practice when I'm in these scrums with the players, and we form such a tight semicircle that if I'm on the end, the person on the other end is video player, and I am typically in the background, and that's where this kind of picture comes from. And it's a particularly poor screenshot of me licking my lips, or I don't know why my tongue is sticking out of my mouth.
You're just really focused.
I'm dying. Yeah, it's bad.
You're really focused. The sun. You've probably been outside for hours.
I have. I never know whether, because this has been a thing. Like, there are friends of mine and fans of my work who I'm deeply appreciative of for a couple of years now been highly interested in bad pictures of me, which there are a couple of on the internet. And it's this whole thing that I'm never sure whether to be flattered by it because I seem to matter to people, or whether I need to, walk into the ocean and never come back.
This one?
Yeah, like that. Exactly. There's if you look hard enough online, there is a panoply of funny Titans related Easton pictures that I wish didn't exist. Do. And so, what are you going to do? That's, what? Sometimes you're on the Titan submersible and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. So it's tough for you, but at least it's good for content, right?
Sure.
It's better than just not. Anyway, we're going to have
if I had bad self-esteem, you people would be, I'd be devastated. This would be bullying. You guys are lucky that I've reached a point in my life where I no longer really care. 7 years ago, high school Easton would be just crushed by all of this.
So funny. But all right, let's move forward because we've got, I was at practice yesterday, my first time seeing minicamp, seeing the veterans and the rookies. So some observations that I have about Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley. We're also going to spend more time. Amnesia had a super chat that we didn't quite have time to dive deep into yesterday, but we'll hit on that today later on in the show about some of the pass catchers, because I definitely do think there has been a good amount of growth shown by Alec Imanor from his rookie minicamp to now. Now, I don't think he is the worst person in drills of all the wide receivers, but guess what? There are no ladders on the football field when you're actually running routes. But he is by far.
It's not close. It's not close.
No, he looks like he's like slow motion dancing in the club. He looks like he's somebody's uncle dancing in the club because like his feet and his arms don't match like the tempo on the ladder drills.
Yeah.
But everybody else is like James Prochet, ladder champ, like just so smooth, so quick. But again, he's got 7 catches.
And tried it. I think that he would look closer to what you and I look like than the best receiver on the team.
Hey man, I used to be good on the ladders. Don't forget, you're talking to a former wide receiver. Now I haven't done a ladder drill in probably 15 years.
Exactly.
But I was pretty good.
Exactly.
Back in the day, I could do some ladders.
Yeah, but anyway, I think you look closer to Alec than you would to James.
But again, So again, Alec Imanor will never shine in ladder drills. But again, the growth that I've seen from him just in 1 month of being a pro receiver in practice is promising. That's good. He was more baby deer at rookie minicamp than he was yesterday, making a nice back shoulder grab on, I think, the first play of 11 on 11.
If it wasn't the first, it was real early. Yeah.
from Cam Ward. So that was really impressive there. I'll stick on the offense before I flip over to the defense, because I got an interesting defense observation that we want to have more of a conversation on maybe tomorrow, maybe next week.
Mhm.
But Cam Ward's poise, like Cam Ward made a throw that was incomplete. He overthrew Tony Pollard, but it was because there was pressure immediately in his grill, and he flipped it out there with beautiful touch where he overthrew Tony Pollard by like a half a hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony was on a flare route out of the back down the sideline, and the timing and just accuracy and like care for the football was really impressive, of Cam knowing exactly where to go when pressure was on him, and bring a throw that was like, damn, that was a really impressive incompletion. And
Right.
you don't want to see all of those things, but I do think just the way Cam handled the pressure yesterday was impressive overall, because we spent all of yesterday morning talking about day one of minicamp, where Cam Ward was 20 and 21. He completed 17, 18 in a row after the pick, and he was phenomenal, dicing them up. Defense didn't take that lightly. They threw everything. They were guys all over the formation, sending pressure, all different types, all different levels. And I thought Cam Ward as a whole, outside of one fumble on a cutesy play in the backfield, outside of one fumble, and it was a mishandled exchange, I guess you would say, on a cutesy trick play. Outside of that, I thought Cam Ward was really impressive from a composure poise standpoint.
Yeah, and that's that's the kind of thing that even when you're seeing not the best plays from him at camp, in a way it is still encouraging, kind of as you laid out. I because those are the kinds of plays where everything breaks down around you, that we saw things go really wrong for this team last year, and terribly wrong for Will Levis in particular, right? And that's what we're trying to get away from. And to your point on that play in particular, he is blown up immediately, and it would have, been a sack in a real game.
I know. I think he got rid of the one I'm talking about, the throw to Tony. He got rid of it. That was
you don't think they'd have gotten that home? Okay,
I think he got rid of it. Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever the case, it would have been a near sack in a game at the very least, and he gets rid of the ball in a way that I don't think I'd trust Will to take care of the ball in that situation.
No, yeah.
Levis is either he's probably taking the sack,
or he fumbles.
Yeah, and so that level of confidence and reassurance is something that feels kind of foreign for somebody that is a fan of the Titans or has watched the Titans for the past year, because that was when we've been conditioned to panic alongside the panic that we see on the field, because it typically means something bad is about to happen. And so I'm looking forward to those things being seen on the field, even though you don't want to see bad plays. You do want to see that growth in time for this team, and that's led by the quarterback. So I think that is a very good thing. And people in the comments saying Easton jinxed Cam after day one. Yesterday, I mean, really, the coaches did it to Cam more than anything yesterday, because they ran almost entirely down drills, third and long drills. It's stuff that intentionally put the defense in an advantageous situation where the offense has to pass and has to get to a certain point on the field, the way that real third downs work, where the defense isn't an advantage in obvious pass situations. The defense sent the house blitzing a ton. And so it was intentionally designed war games to put the offense in some bad situations and see what they could do. And so the win percentage offensively goes down dramatically. Happens no matter what. And it still was not I'm not excusing entirely the offense's bad day, because on top of them being in some bad situations, it also seemed like there was some more disconnect between players yesterday than we saw from day one. Some got quite on the same page. Cam throwing to parts of the field where, the receiver isn't quite in the position that they're supposed to be, or at least in the position that Cam wants them to be. And some of that may just come from, again, him having to get rid of the ball quickly under pressure, or trying some new things yesterday that they weren't trying on day one. Whatever the case, that's going to happen. Not really all that concerning that, as some people pointed out yesterday, well, maybe because the offense was awesome day one, it just means the defense sucks. You never want one side of the ball to take practice throughout the summer, or else it is probably a good indication that the team that is getting beat up on isn't all that good. And so you want to see some back and forth, and we definitely saw that yesterday. Frankly, the defense was out there playing with an energy that felt like they got to shoot out between yesterday's practice and the previous day's practice and yesterday's practice, and rightfully so. And I think that they responded well.
Yeah.
So today will be the tiebreaker.
For sure. I got one more observation just to make sure the whole chat knows we are aware the stream is having problems. The video keeps doing that. It's not our problem. It's not our Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is fine. It's both of us. It's happening. I don't understand why. It's a StreamYard issue. We are aware of this. There's Zach Lawrence. We can't just hit the refresh button and start again. That's not how this is going to work because it'll screw up everything.
We'll kill the stream.
It'll kill everything. That's not how that goes at all. So, again, we apologize. I don't know what to do. I'm sure like 3 hours from now, StreamYard will send out like an apology like, oh, there's an issue with streaming connection. So something's going on. Audio is still fine, but the video connection keeps glitching. It's not happening on our studio side. We can only see it by pulling up on our other devices or other pages. So we're working through that. All right. So we're trying. Be patient with us. We're doing what we can. We're going to keep the conversation going on. C-Rich says I'll still give you a like. Appreciate that. So, all right. My defensive observation, Easton, before we keep on going, and you got one more day of practice you're going to get out to, so we got to wrap in about like 40 minutes or so. But I am very intrigued by a couple young players on the defensive front that I think are going to be like secret weapons that don't have like the traditional role in what we imagine an NFL defense to be. But I think Femi Oladejo, James Williams are going to be two players that I'm just very curious on how they're going to be deployed. It's something to monitor. It's not like the biggest story in the world, but like these two guys are both freak athletes. They're tall, they're long, they're quick, they're strong, explosive. And I feel like there's some mutation tricks that they can be used with. So Femi and James Williams are physically and impressive and pass the eye test. I just want to know what they're going to do with them. Like, what's the scheme going to be? How are they going to be deployed?
Right. I do think, and this is going to be a part of our conversation this morning, or tomorrow or whenever. I'm going to talk to some position coaches here in a hour about the positionless capabilities I think this defense has with a number of these players that are tweeners is usually a more derogatory word, but kind of tweeners in the sense that you don't have to pigeonhole them into one role only. And James Williams is like that. I think Amani Hooker has been like that a good bit of his career, and that's something that Denard Wilson referenced yesterday. I think that Kevin Winston, once they get him on the field, is absolutely going to play. And then on the defensive front, I think you have a number of guys that do have some inside out versatility, but more so in the sense that they're going to be able to play everything from 2 to 9 wide on the line, and they're going to line these guys up on either side of Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons in a number of really unique ways to keep offenses on their toes. And that is only something you can do really when you have guys that are capable of winning both inside and from the far edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. So I just want to know how they can be deployed. That's going to be something that I'll be curious to see how it continues. So now let's get to the main topic of the show. We're only 18 minutes in. We made fun of Easton, then the stream's messing up. So we got observations out of the way. Now let's talk about Cam to Rid. Cam Ward to Calvin Ridley is officially hitting another gear. And here is the deep ball played twice here that the Titans put out that we saw in person yesterday of Ward slinging about 50 yards through the air to Calvin Ridley for an easy touchdown. So on that play, Easton, that was the play that Cam made some type of like check before the snap.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was something he saw pre-snap that they went into a different play, and that was the outcome. And when the ball left Cam's hands and my eyes moved down the field to Calvin, I thought he overthrew it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Calvin hit a second gear and ran perfectly underneath it to create even more separation from the DB, who's an undrafted rookie out of Penn State, Kimber. But man, it was so smooth and so easy. And I know we've got a lot of things we can unpack just about that play and what you saw the day before and what it represents for Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, it's a connection that we spent a lot of time last offseason wondering when and how it would come together. And I remember this time last year, I remember in July and in August last year, talking a whole lot about that between Will Levis and Calvin Ridley, two guys that hadn't worked together yet because Calvin was new. And we knew what Calvin was capable of, especially down the field. But man, they just didn't seem to be able to time it up right. And we did a lot of poking and prodding at, well, is it because Calvin runs so much faster than the other players on the team and is so much better separator? Is it a timing thing? Is Will not pacing his throw correctly? Is it because Will's not putting enough air under the ball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Pretty much out of the box, we are seeing this work. And we saw it on day one of minicamp. We saw it yesterday, even though, a number of offensive things weren't going right yesterday. Was. And you saw it right there on tape. So, I think it is indicative of year two for Calvin, comfortability, certainly. Mm-hmm. But see, something that I'm always going to be kind of bullish on is the idea that for the most part, deep passing stats in the NFL are just as much, if not more, receiver stats as they are quarterback stats, because good quarterbacks, when it comes to deep passing, just hang the ball out there, and it is on the receiver to track the ball and pace their route correctly and separate correctly downfield. Like, talk to people in the league. This is what they'll tell you, is that it's as much a receiver, like your pinpoint accuracy deep has just as much to do with the receiver running under the ball when they have 2 seconds to do so than it does your actual accuracy. Very different from being pinpoint accurate in the short area, right? That is a quarterback thing. And so we know Calvin is capable of this. And you kind of pointed out yesterday that Calvin is kind of a blessing and a curse kind of way, uniquely capable of getting to a number of balls that guys that are maybe in his mold but not as athletic can't get to.
How I put it is like Calvin really dropped a pass in practice from Brandon Allen on a route when he could have, if the pass was just a little bit accurate, that was a catch on the run down the sideline, like gone, right? But the throw was like behind him and high, where he had to stop his momentum, jump up, twist backwards to where he dropped it. And I said to you, like, Calvin's athletic enough to make that a drop, where most guys aren't athletic enough to make it look like a drop. It's just a bad throw and it just goes by him and they can't even get there. But Calvin got both hands on it, but it was such an odd, like, momentum, jump up, twist around, spin, try to go get it, couldn't come down with it. You're like, man, you got to catch that ball. But
yes,
he got to that impressively in the first place.
Agreed. But and that's why he's just
tier 2.
He's just barely behind the best guys, because the best guys are impressive enough athletically to get to that, and they catch it because it hits them in both hands. So, like, I get what you're saying, that there's some leeway there, but it's also like, hit you in both hands, catch the ball. So Calvin would tell you the same thing. But he is somebody that I want to talk about this morning, what we think he's capable of doing in year two. He's talked about his comfortability in the system. And I think with Cam, just something about him understanding how to hang the ball out there in a way that gives Calvin a chance, because a lot of the time in practice last year, Will was not able to do that for whatever reason. He was not able to really give Calvin a chance to go get the ball, and Cam is, and that's a really exciting thing.
Yep. So Josh is just joining. What do we talk about with Ridley, Calvin Ridley, and Cam Ward? Their connection already seems to be in a spot where Will Levis and Ridley could never really get to on the field. They were constantly a little bit off. And I saw a comment from our guy King VC. Says, not going to lie, it's refreshing to see that, because this time last year we just kept hearing that Levis and Ridley could not get that connection. And you kept wanting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then that's how it played out. And that's where I want to get to to get you guys more involved this morning, because here are Calvin Ridley's game stats. with week 1 at the top all the way down. If you look at his season as a whole, 64 catches for just over 1,000 yards, 16 yards, and 4 touchdowns. But on 120 targets, 64 catches is not good. That is not good completion percentage for a receiver that's being paid that type of money. Now, you look at the big games it really had, 143 on 10 catches on 15 targets in Detroit. Mason Rudolph was playing in that game. Another big, like the other big games it really had, like he didn't really, outside of that, I mean, that was the only 100-yard game, but the win against Houston, 93 catches, 5 out of 6. That was with Levis. You see even like the 84, 5 out of 6 for 84 in Jacksonville. That was with Levis. In the last game, 3 out of 5, 76. That was with both quarterbacks, and he kind of ended early because of the situation in that tank game. So, like, early in the season, you see 6 out of 4, 77 and a touchdown. That was the good Levis.
Right.
And then you see the 1 for 9 yards, 1 for 5 yards, 0 catches on 8 targets against Indianapolis when Levis had a shoulder injury. And then it just continued to be very inconsistent, but it got better later. And so we want to ask you guys this question today. How much better will Calvin Ridley be in 2025 because of Cam Ward at the quarterback spot? How much better will Calvin Ridley be? Because with that inconsistency and with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph, he had 1,000 yards. Only had 4 touchdowns, but we understand the season that Ridley went through, but he still got to 1,000 yards. So how much better can Calvin Ridley be because Cam Ward is his quarterback? We'll get to your answers here momentarily. Hang with us because the video glitch. It's not in our control. StreamYard having an issue there, but we appreciate you guys sticking with us. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Lipscomb University Sports program, a nationally recognized university with a nationally recognized sports analytics grad program where you can get an online degree and turn your passion of sports and being a fan and diving into all the different things that it comes to being a sport addict. You can turn that passion into a career. We get asked all the time. I'm sure Easton does too. I have for years. How'd you get doing this? And it's like, well, here was my path. But Easton's path is completely different than mine. And A to Z Sports has 50 plus employees, and nobody has the same path. Everybody's path is uniquely different. And so Lipscomb University could be a path for you to get your passion into a career. Doesn't matter where you are in life. Lipscomb University can help you out with an online degree, sports analytics program. So check them out. Lipscomb University, nationally recognized university with their sports analytics online degree.
There's so much more to say, but first make sure you have liked the show and then head on over to google.com, search ATOZ Sports. Find our business entity there at the top and then leave a 5-star review for us. It is free, it is quick and easy, and it is very helpful. So we appreciate you guys filling those out for us.
All right. So how much better can Calvin Ridley be because he has Cam Ward at quarterback instead of Will Levis? Gosh, what a train wreck of a show. So I'll send you to the chat, Easton. How much better is everybody saying that Calvin can be this season?
Let's see how much better. Why am I seeing no? Here we go. Here's some of the answers. Rashad is a top 10 wide receiver better, which is very bold. Jeff says 15% better, but I also think Callahan's play calling was suspect. All right. Luke says around 1,200 yards. Duran says only slightly better. Lee Grant thinks that if Ridley had a competent last year, he would have had 1,300 to 1,500 yards easily. Let's see. Ira Hoshi says 15% better. Rooney says 1,200 yards. Easy Trades thinks a whole lot better, moderately better. Joshua says 1,500 yards most likely. Ramon thinks at least 30 more catches and 300 more yards. Another 1,500 yards. Joshua, 1,800 yards and 10 or more touchdowns, which is
okay. You want to pause here?
Sure.
Okay, because I think we can dive into a couple of these answers because we're seeing yards, right? Which, again, when we ask a question open-ended, I'm not surprised that we got some of these answers. And Measure brings up a super chat that is fair. Let's be fair to Levis. Calvin dropped multiple passes that were easy catches last season. It was on both Levis and Calvin. Yes, but more, in my opinion, and I think your opinion, was on Levis and his ability to get on the same page with Calvin, right? And because we're seeing Cam Ward and Calvin instantly connect with timing.
Right. I think back to which game was it? Pull up the game log again. Was it? I think it was the Indianapolis game in week 5?
Week 6 because it was after the bye.
Right. Good point. So week 6, 8 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards. I remember that. Especially, I think it was 6 of those 8 targets came like in the last quarter and a half.
Yeah.
And they were one drive in particular. They were just desperately trying to force feed him the ball. And over and over and over, it looked like the hardest thing you've ever seen on a football field, and it could not click. There was not a way for them to get on the same page for whatever reason. That was kind of the microcosm to me of how it felt largely last year too often.
Sorry, I was trying to find that because that was the video. That was the game that sparked the posting comments from Ridley about like that. You got to get me involved early. You can't just be like 4th quarter, 3rd down and 8, throw me the ball and expect me to do it. It's gonna be cold all game.
Correct.
And it was that game. And I was trying to find that video, but couldn't quite pull it up in time. So that went into the game planning, the play calling, plus Levis and the whole situation overall. And I think the crazy thing. And Jason says Calvin Ridley had to compete with Hopkins last year in training camp. No, wrong. Andrew Hopkins was hurt and not there. He was in LA rehabbing his knee. And then when he was back in town, wasn't practicing until week 1, really. Yep. So, no, that's not the case at all. Like Calvin Ridley actually got more because D-Hop was out. Craziest stat to me that will always live is that Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins never – in the same game, both had more than 1 catch.
That makes sense.
Crazy.
I mean, D-Hop was such a non-factor last year. I'm not surprised by that one bit just because of D-Hop. I mean, he was such a non-factor for the Titans before they ended up moving him. He became a factor for the Chiefs a number of times. But as a Titan year, how many games did D-Hop have more than 1 catch as a Titan last year?
Well, we can pull up the game log and we can see all the ones that that Ridley didn't have and count there. So 1 catch in Green Bay and Miami and Indy, Ridley had 1 or 0.
Mm-hmm.
So that means D-Hop had 3 more than 1 catch games.
Yeah, I'm pulling up D-Hop's game log last year. So he had.
If you want to read off, all right, we'll go game. I've got Ridley's up on the screen. You read D-Hop's. Okay. Week 1, Chicago. D-Hop had 1 catch for like 9 yards, right?
8 yards, but yes.
8 yards, that was close. So 3 for 50 for Ridley. Week 2, Calvin had 4 for 77 and a touchdown. What did D-Hop have? 1
for 9.
All right. Week 3, Green Bay.
Here was D-Hop's big Titans game. Is this
and
one?
Ridley 1 for 9. What did D-Hop have?
6 for 73 and a touchdown. That was the one really good game he had as a Titan last year.
In Miami, Ridley had 1 for 5. What did D-Hop have?
2 for 31.
There you go. And then Indy, 0 on 8 targets for Calvin. What did D-Hop have?
4 for 54. That was his second best game for sure.
And in the final game of D-Hop's Titans career, Buffalo, Ridley had 3 for 42. What did D-Hop have?
1 for -2 yards.
There you go. How about that? So never did they have multiple catches in the same game.
Nope.
Crazy. Just a crazy, crazy stat.
Mm-hmm.
And sad. Yes, it is very sad, Rooney. So somebody said that Ridley could be a top 10 receiver. And Easton, you kind of like laughed at that.
Yeah, I did laugh at that. In what way? Statistically, perhaps.
Yeah, I think statistically is what's being talked about. Because do you want to know what just receivers? So removing tight ends, where did Calvin Ridley rank in receiving yards last season in the NFL among other receivers?
Let's find out.
No. I'm asking you to guess. I have.
Oh, you have it?
Yes, I have it.
Yeah, just over 1,000 yards. I'll say that he ranked. How many guys have 1,000 yards each year? I'm gonna guess he ranked like 25th.
25th. He was 18th.
Okay.
Among receivers.
I'm overestimating how many guys get to 1,000 yards.
1,017. If he were to have top 10 receiver numbers,
like what's the number you have to get to, basically?
It's just an extra 150 yards.
Is that right? Wow. Well, just based on yards alone. Okay.
Based on yards alone. Lad McConkey, actually, JSN in Seattle. It's actually less than that. It's just like 120 yards extra. So
Okay.
top 10 receiving yards.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. The reason I scoffed is just the idea of him being a top 10 talent, which is we all understand is different. But
that's crazy though, right? Because like look, the receiver, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, that makes sense. Then it's Brian Thomas. Whoa. Drake London. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay, that makes sense. Then Jerry Jeudy did it because he had like 1 billion yards.
He's an enigma.
Game.
Ignore that. Yeah. He's an enigma. He literally had like 300 yards in the game.
But Malik Neighbors right there. So you get 2 rookies in the top 7.
Yeah. Good players. Last year's rookie class was incredible.
CeeDee Lamb, Brock Bowers, and then Lad McConkey. You have 3 rookies, in the top 9 receiving yard seasons last year.
That never happens.
It's crazy. So it's really not that far away. So I think top 10 in receiving yards, I think makes sense. Guys, we know there's a glitch going. Like everybody knows. So we know there's a glitch. Quit complaining about it. There's a pinned comment that explains the glitch. Like the show. Thanks. So I think Calvin Ridley being a top 10 receiving yard guy is not crazy this year.
No, it's not. It's not. Based on yard own, he can be a volume king this year 100%.
Because who else is going to eat up yards?
Right. Well, and that's an interesting debate in and of itself, right? Is it a good omen for the Titans this year if we learn that Calvin, has 1,400 yards and is, a top 10 receiver in terms of yards? What does that mean for the rest of the room?
Yes, that's good.
No, for the team this year, I mean for the development of the rest of the guys. Is that a good or a bad thing? It probably means that nobody else really up in year 1, right? I mean, unless it just becomes an incredible passing attack, because in order to be able to carry a 1,400 yard receiver plus a 700 yard and 600 yard and 500 yard guy, Shig is going to get to 500. He always does. You're hoping one of these rookies can have around that amount of impact. The running back's going to eat up some yards. The 2 of them will have 500 apiece. Like there are only how many passing yards do you expect Cam Ward to have this year? 4,000?
Yeah, but like there was only 2 guys that were over 1,400 yards last season in the entire league.
Right, which is a down year for the league. I'm pretty sure. Usually you have a guy or 2 that eclipses 15.
There were 2 that eclipsed 15. The top 2, Jefferson and Chase. Now, if you want to go back,
I see.
Yeah, if you want to go back to the year before, so 2 seasons ago, there were 5 receivers that were over 1,400 yards.
Right.
AJ, Puka, St. Brown, Lamb, Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was a weird year of receiving yard distribution last year across the whole league, but 1,400 yards. We're just talking about less than 400 more than last year's abysmal offense.
Right.
Where Calvin Ridley had just over 50% completion percentage his way. Like even if you just change that to 10 percentage points positive direction, which is more normal, that might get you close alone.
So what's your answer? What do you think?
How much better can he be just because of Cam Ward?
Mm-hmm.
I think 300 yards and 4 touchdowns better.
Okay, well, our answers are very simple. Because he was on pace the back half of the season to have roughly 1,300 to 1,400 yards, like 1,350, and he had 4 touchdowns, I think. So yeah, I would double that. So I'd say 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. I'm expecting from Calvin this year if he stays on the field and things go to plan. And I think that's you're getting your money's worth out of that. That is the juice being worth the squeeze. So
I just did the math. If Calvin has the exact same number of targets as last season, which was 120,
right,
and just has a 64% completion rate towards him,
mm-hmm.
which is a little over 10 percentage points better, then that would leave with a 16 yards per catch average, which he had last year, with 1,228 yards.
Yeah. So it's
on the same number of targets.
Yeah, 1,300 yards were there for him last year, and they will be there again for him this year. I think there's no doubt the opportunity for those yards will be present again this year, assuming he's able to stay healthy and on the field. As bullish as I am on some of these rookie guys and other guys in the passing game stepping up, I also think that it's going to be a rising tide kind of for the game, right? Because It's not like, well, they're eating pieces of the pie that, then Calvin can't have. I think there are more pieces of the pie because I think this is going to be a better offense and a better passing attack. So there's going to be more production available to these guys.
All right. Yep. 100%. So there's a couple comments I want to get to here on the show. And then we'll talk about Amnesia had a super chat yesterday that we didn't have a ton of time to get to. So we'll hit that up here in a second about the other pass catchers that I think two of the three rookies I think are making strides to be like, okay, that's probably going to be a significant part of this team coming up in the fall. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn. boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever an injury happens in life, you have to know who you can go to, who you can trust. That is the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin. They've got all the experts, the doctors, the physicians, the support staff, the physical therapists, the equipment for physical therapy in one building right there off I-65 and Highway 96. But they also have clinics and rehab facilities across Williamson County for your convenience. They can get you in and out and get off the sideline, because an injury as an adult is nothing more than just major inconvenience that disrupts your entire life.
Who's got time for that, man?
Get rid of it. Nobody has time to be hurt.
No one has time to be hurt.
Nobody has time to be hurt. So get it taken care of the right way online, boneandjointtn.org.
There is so much more to say, but first, make sure you have liked the show and leave us a 5-star Google review on google.com. Search A to Z Sports, leave a 5-star review, and you will become our new best friend. Thank you for doing that.
All right, so just to address in the Fed says this show's giving me seizures. Top tier says it keeps getting black. We know that. That is something that's out of our hands. I pinned a comment. Apparently, you guys don't pay attention to pinned comments. But that is the problem that we cannot have any control over today, because there's a problem with StreamYard, apparently. I don't know. Yes, we know there's a glitch. So thank you for continuous comments on that. But a couple comments that I saw that I was like, all right, guys, come on now. And that is MBs says, this stuff is all cute to talk about, but if the Titans aren't winning, does it really matter how Rick ranks? And then I see another comment from Brandon says, so now we're hitting gears in June with a laughing emoji. Like, how miserable do you guys want to be? Like, come on. Like Brandon, hitting gears in June. What we were talking about was the inability to get on the same page last year in June for Will Levis and Calvin Ridley that carried over into the season that allowed this team to suck faster.
Right.
Right. And so, like,
Brandon is squarely in the category of guys that we talked about yesterday. Like, Brandon, tell me, what are you tuning into this morning's show for? Like, what is
to complain? To complain.
Right. Is that what it is? Just to make fun of the fact that we're talking about in June?
Yes.
Because if so, you got to have something better to do. You gotta. And then for MB, throw MB's comment back up there. MB's is less. I'm not gonna make too much fun of MB on this comment, but I mean, sure, yes.
The whole point of Calvin Ridley is to help you win games. That's why you gave him $92 million.
Right. I don't know if you know this. There's a correlation between Calvin Ridley, the best receiver, scoring points and yards and touchdowns, and the Titans doing well. So it is in the Titans' best interest, if they do indeed want to be a good team, for Calvin to be better at football.
I'm sorry. Just between the glitch, between a couple of you guys in here just being miserable humans, it's making me more miserable. Yeah, I am fired up because I feel like I'm dealing with trolls constantly.
Austin, you need to find your inner peace this morning.
I know, right? I don't know. My morning walk had a great morning walk this time.
I know. How am I so often the anchor? Maybe it's because it's still too early for me to really get riled up by anything. I'm coasting.
Yeah. Again, the whole point is Calvin Ridley and Cam Ward have already connected better than Will Levis and Calvin Ridley did at all last year.
It is noticeable. It is actually, in fact, it is kind of impossible to miss if you've been to both things.
Yes. So Amnesia comes in and says, this discussion proves the Titans have to be in win now mode. The fan base is booing production and improvement for the team.
Well, they certainly are in win now mode in terms of the team that they have right now is desperate to win.
No, they're in improve now mode.
Yeah. Which means win more than 3 games.
Exactly. And then thank you to our guy VC. Can't chat. Stop talking about the glitch. Can't help it. Like the show. So a couple things from Amnesia's comment yesterday about other pass catching options, the young guys. I said at the top, I think Alec Imanor has shown the most visible growth from the rookies that I have seen from rookie minicamp to yesterday. That's just my perspective about the rookies. But the most visible growth is absolutely number 5, because I thought he kind of looked not comfortable, maybe not the quickest, twitchiest guy, maybe like looked good as an athlete, but wasn't exactly juiced, ready to go and comfortable. But yesterday he made, I mentioned off the top, I think it was the first play of 11-11, a back shoulder line catch from Cam. That's like, okay, all right. And he continued to do things that looked the part yesterday. So I know you're big on your boy Imanor.
That's my guy.
That is your guy, and I think your guy is definitely rising when it comes to his stock as well. So any other thoughts on Epic Imanor?
That's right. Epic Imanor. No, I'm gonna triple down now on Epic Imanor. Being a household name by the end of the year. I said it.
Household name.
What did I say? 2 weeks ago I said that last week, I think.
Last week. Household,
last Monday.
Define household again. Because whose household? Like Titans fans' household, or
Titans fans will certainly know about him. And I think by the end of the year, every household that is engaged in fantasy football, which is most NFL households, will know who he is. I said most. Yeah. I think that anybody that even is a little bit involved in fantasy will know who Alec Imanor is.
Yeah. And then Donald asked, how does Gunnar Helm look? I think Gunnar Helm is going to be impactful this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tight ends have a tough go to start their NFL careers from college, but I think Gunnar Helm is coming into the Titans more prepared to have an impact than Chigakonkwo and Josh Wiley came in as rookies. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yeah, he is closer to his ceiling. Now, I think you can definitely argue how much of a ceiling he has versus what those guys had, and maybe that's a little bit lower. I think that's probably fair, just purely from an athletic standpoint. I mean,
he's the highest draft pick of the 3, though.
He is, but I mean, athletically, he is not the athlete that Chig was as a prospect, and will never be, and that's fine though, because we've seen plenty of middling athlete tight ends be awesome, so it doesn't
matter.
Right. We've seen plenty of stud athlete tight ends never see the field because...
If you told me Gunnar Helm is Heath Miller, let's freaking go. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like, just, again, ironically, and me just says it's weird, haven't heard any Restrepo talk from Austin. He was so excited a few weeks ago. I saw him for the second time yesterday, and I was at that. Like, Gunnar Helm and Xavier Restrepo kind of have the same, just knows how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to do it well.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the most jacked, rocked up, twitchy athletes or overpass athletes. They just know how to play their position. 100%. And that's so important that gets forgotten about every draft cycle, because it's 40 times, it's cone drills, it's biceps, it's spandex workout, it's how fast you are, how high you can jump, but it's not about how well you can play your position. And that's what's most important. You have to have the passable athletic traits, and both, you can argue whether Restrepo has passable athletic traits or not, but he's really good at his job and has been in college, which is why he's here.
Absolutely.
So those are kind of my overview of I think Gunnar and Alec Imanor are the 2 rookies from the offensive weapon group that I think has the best chance to have an earlier impact.
100% agree.
All right. Are we ready to end this travesty with some trivia?
I am.
All right, let's do it. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai, making them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Levin or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Pain Bone will help you out quite a bit. All right, trivia time, which the glitch should not affect. You ready, Easton?
Yep, hit it.
Here we go. The glitch should not affect the screen share. At least I hope. It'll maybe just affect our small bot here. but not the screen share itself. Okay. Let's see.
Ready?
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to look at Orlando's over-under because it'll distract me. He says no,
none for today. Let's just be great.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go for accuracy rather than speed. We got to build back up. Go back to the fundamentals. Okay. Let's start with NFL and go around the board.
Here we go. NFL. After totaling over 3,300 yards with an AFC East team in 3 years, this running back had 1,000 yards for the Ravens in 2007.
Oh, man.
Who is this? Was it a Bill? Why am I picturing a Bill?
I kind of am picturing a Bill.
Really great AFC East running back.
Was it Willis McGahee? No.
I don't think so.
He's too old.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be Willis McGahee.
Okay. I really thought he was before that, but
well, his NFL career started slower because he had that terrible knee injury his last game in college.
All right, let's give it a shot. I was wrong.
Hey.
Wow. City is the capital of Nevada, Carson City, not Las Vegas. With most of the original cast from this 87 to 95 ABC sitcom returning, this Netflix sequel sitcom ran from 16 to 20. A late 80s, early 90s ABC sitcom that they ran again. Was it like Mike and Molly or something? I don't know.
I don't think so. Reno 9. Oh, Fuller House.
Oh, you're 1,000% right. 100% right.
Is it Fuller House?
I should have known that. Harrison Ford first played Jack Ryan in this 92 action thriller that featured Ann Archer, Sean Bean, and Samuel L. Jackson. I didn't know Jack Ryan was a thing before they did the Amazon series. Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know the name of this. I thought the Jack Ryan was just.
You know who Jack Ryan is?
Like I know the character. I think.
What is the character in now?
He has his own show, Jack Ryan. It's
called Jack Ryan.
Yeah, it's an Amazon.
Hunt for Red October.
What? Samuel L. Jackson was not in that, was he?
I don't know.
No. That
Shadow Recruit.
That's a Sean Connery movie.
Yeah, that's not right. That was Nick, not me.
Nick is right. Jack Ryan is now Jim from The Office. Is it still just called Jack? There's no way it's just called Jack Ryan. Man, we're killing it. This is awesome. No one knows the name of this action thriller from 1990.
Clear and Present Danger?
Sure. Nope. Founded in 2002, Ryan Tedder is the lead vocalist for this pop rock band. Okay, no idea. This is not my bag.
Nope. No clue who Ryan Tedder is.
In individual musicians and bands, I'm not going to be good on.
One Republic?
In 2002? Is that old? No.
Not
even showing an option.
One?
No, it's definitely spelled out.
OAR? Hands? 30 Seconds to Mars?
No, I know the lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars.
I have no idea.
Okay, if it's One Republic, how is it one word? Oh, it's one word. In 2025, what sit-down introduced a fried mozzarella item in the shape of a boomerang? I mean, it's got to be Outback, right?
Maybe.
Sit-down chain? It's got to
it gotta be
Outback.
Okay, yeah.
What Eastern Conference team won 3 of the first 4 MLS Cups from 1996 to 1999? Bro, early MLS, 90s MLS is a crazy question.
Like New York Red Bulls is kind of the Eastern Conference.
Got to be Red Bulls. We're trying it.
I know. Hold on. Let's get
trying it. We're trying it. Chat. Who is really locked in on 90s
DC United?
All right. Who was watching 90s MLS? Get out of here. In 1990, Nolan Ryan recorded his 300 career win while pitching for this American League team. Man, he's played for so many teams. I don't know.
I was going to say the Rangers, but that could be totally off.
Sox?
I think it's, the Rangers is kind
The
of
Rangers sounds correct to me. Let's give it a shot. Nice. The guy is
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
And the girl is the what's her face from 50 Shades.
Oh, Nepo
Kristen,
baby. Nepo baby lady.
Kristen, what's her name?
No, not Kristen. What's her name? Shoot. Chat. Are we even thinking of the right person?
I don't know.
I know
who I'm thinking of.
I know who you're thinking of, but I can't think of Dakota Johnson.
Yes, Dakota Johnson. That's right.
What was this?
Hey, yeah.
No one. Did anyone ever give us an answer on what
No.
this terrible movie apparently is?
How about me getting both celebrity matches?
I know. When was the last time that happened?
Never. Probably the one we had the Rock's shoulders in there. I was like, oh, that's the Rock. Shadow Recruit, says John.
I'm trying to go back. Shadow Recruit. All right, let's give it a try. Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit. That was the name of it? No, it's not. Patriot Games.
Oh, somebody did comment that.
They did? Okay, well,
Yeah.
apologies to that person for not taking you serious.
Paul Texan was on it, but okay. All right. Well, hopefully the glitch tomorrow will be gone and we will be better because I will not be irritated by the people commenting about the glitch and the glitch itself. So apologies for that. Easton's off the minicamp practice. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. More content to come. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Buck Rising live tonight, recapping his version of minicamp as well. And we'll see you guys later. Appreciate it as always.